We all experience challenging and difficult situations in life. In the face of these complexities, it is not always clear how to respond, what to do, or what to avoid. It's easy to get stuck in these moments and stop moving forward in life. Wholeness with Naomi is a program that explores our experiences with such encounters and provides tools and strategies that can enable anyone facing these hardships to continue walking their path in life. We can't wait to meet you on this journey. Tune in, your life is about to change for the better.
Welcome to our program, Wholeness with Naomi, where we talk about difficult and different situations that we find ourselves in. More importantly, we talk about some of the tools that you use as you navigate in these difficult and different situations that you may be finding yourself in. Today on the show, we have a conversation about strength that is often unseen, weight that is for two people, and love that is beyond. We're talking about single parenting, single motherhood. Some people just find themselves in that space. For some, it is by choice. But whatever situation that led you to be coming into that space, today I want to explore not only just the challenges that may be surrounding it, but also to offer hope and practical tools that you can use as you navigate in this space. Joining us on the program today is Miss Jacqueline Makwenzi. Welcome to the show, ma'am.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yes, let's dig right into it, Miss Jacqueline. What is single motherhood?
So I think single motherhood is doing parenting alone.
Okay.
You are basically the mother, the father, and you raise your children on your own.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. As I mentioned earlier on, for some people it's something that they just find themselves in. For some, they make a choice. What was it like for you to come into this space where you're raising your children alone?
So even those that make a choice, I don't think they really choose that aspect of single motherhood. For myself, my life choices led to single motherhood in the sense that I got into a relationship with someone with the hope that it would end up in marriage, end up more. But the moment I got pregnant, they were not interested in more. So that's how I ended up being a single mom from pregnancy. And while I held out hope that in the future perhaps it didn't turn out that way.
Okay.
And eventually he didn't just leave the relationship, he also left life. So that hope then really died. And I've had to navigate life with my daughter alone since then.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. How old is your daughter now?
My daughter is 16.
Oh, she's grown up.
She's grown up. She's writing her O-levels this year. And it's been an interesting journey, an interesting 16 years.
Yes. So we want to know about, you're carrying the weight of two people. From what you mentioned, the father was never there right from the onset.
Yeah.
How does it feel when you are supposed to be everything for your child?
I think that's the most difficult thing for me. It's overwhelming. It's challenging. I'm a woman. Even mothering didn't come that naturally to me. I had to learn. It had to grow out of me. When she came, I had to teach myself to mother. You know, it came with time. But fathering, I don't know where to start with that.
Already, so you had mothering. You wanted to learn about being a mother.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you also
you have to
learn about being a father to this child that's in your life right now.
Yeah. So I have to. It's not even that I had to. I have to be. But because I don't know what that looks like, I don't have the perspective of a man in a child's life, in a girl's life. I do the best I can. And I think I've had to rely more on the extended family.
Okay.
But even then, I still find it's a challenge because they are not the father. So their perspective and where they're coming in from is totally different from what she may need at that time.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true. It sounds like, you know, it's something that, yes, it came with its challenges, but you took it head on to say, I will find ways to make it work.
So that's the thing. I like to think of her as my saving grace. She came when I was when I was despairing, let's say that. And then this child comes along and I'm thinking, so God has a plan for my life. He's given me a child. That means he must still want me to do something. So I took it as a responsibility, as a privilege to actually mother a child. And I had to get my act together, so to speak, and see how do I raise this child. So yeah, that's where I'm coming from, I guess.
Okay. You know, I look at young mothers, especially coming out of teenhood or just even teenagers, and they found themselves pregnant. One of the emotions that you indicated of what you felt was that you felt overwhelmed. And that is something that some can actually relate to, that they feel so overwhelmed. They are pregnant, the father is nowhere in the picture, or he has actually refused and said, I'll not be part of this. How was that like for you?
Yeah, that was difficult. But I think on some level when you are young, there's an element of strength and bravado to say, I can do this. And some of the challenges, you don't really see them at that time. They emerge with time. For instance, at that time, I wasn't really too afraid because I was self-sufficient, I was working. I had a family around me that could support me. But you know, what happens to single mothers, or rather what happens to married mothers, also happens to single mothers.
It's the same, we're all mothers.
Exactly. So in the sense that economy happens, hardship comes, tribulations comes, trials comes, challenges. For me, it was ill health and loss of employment. So when that happened, it's like, okay, this is what I was holding on to, and now it's gone. So the strength that I thought, okay, I can do this, was taken away. The source of income, or what I thought was my security, was taken away. And I still had a child to raise. So yeah, that put me in a bit of a spot and totally shifted my perspective. And I think what it then did is it led me to God. Because when everything else is taken away, what remains? You have to find an anchor, otherwise you sink. Yeah,
that's true. I'm glad it also led you into a space where you found Christ.
Yeah.
But you know, I want to take you into the challenges that you faced. I know there are teen mothers that are watching right now, and sometimes they feel stuck, like this is the end of the world. Some may consider abortion, some may consider taking their lives, because these are things that we are hearing in the media, you know, each and every day. I want you just to speak to those young mothers, how they can come out of that.
So I will say to them, no life is an accident. God knows, you know. We think that it's a mistake. I didn't plan for this. But God knew the date you would conceive. God knew the child you would bear. And so it's not time to give up on God, because the God who gave you that child knows what is to become, knows what will sustain that child. That same God has a plan and a purpose for the both of you, not just the child, for the both of you. Because he cares about you as the vessel who carries the child. And he's entrusted you with that child because he knows you're capable. But it requires you to lean in on God, not on your own strength. And it may look like, how is that even possible? But with God, all things are possible. So have hope.
Have hope. Thank you for that. I think she was you've heard it. Have hope. Let's take a short break to join me in the next segment. Thank you. Welcome back to our program, Wholeness with Naomi. Today we're talking about the subject of single motherhood. Before we went on a short break, Ms. Jacqueline was sharing with us, was talking rather to the single mothers or to the young mothers that they can do it. They have to find the strength within themselves. Ms. Jacqueline, I'm interested in knowing the challenges that you faced in this journey, especially societal challenges as a single mother as you were raising a child.
Yeah, you face a lot of stigma.
Okay.
It's not easy being a single parent. It's worse for someone who's never been married.
Okay.
There are ideas that you're promiscuous.
Okay.
You were undisciplined. You might be after our husbands.
Yeah, that one I want us to dig into it, yes.
Yeah. So you face that on top of your own emotional struggles. Sometimes you are struggling so much internally, nobody can really see. You're not seen, you're not heard. And possibly it's other single mothers who can actually discern and say, okay, she might be at this stage.
Okay.
But a lot of the time you're basically alone. Even in a room full of people, you're alone.
Okay. Can you share a little bit on that?
I went through depression for 2 years. And I don't think I knew, actually I didn't know I was in depression. I would go to church every Sunday. And in church for that 2 years, I would weep in church every Sunday. 1 or 2 people would come and say, what's happening with you? Are you okay? And you'd say, I'm fine. And I could not articulate the pain or the anguish because I didn't know how to wrap my head around it or how to unpack it for myself. But in retrospect, I was in depression. But I thank God because I had that space. I could go to church. I could hear the word. I could anchor on something. And it is because of that that I was able to come out. I think it was just one Sunday that I went to church in the 2 years. One Sunday I went to church and a spirit of the spirit of heaviness lifted. I could laugh. I hadn't laughed in a while. I hadn't laughed. So there are times when you're just superficial. Something is happening, you respond because that's what's required
that's what's
of you.
expected,
Yeah,
yes.
that's what's required. But you're not in it, and nobody sees that you're not in it. So I think there are a lot of struggles which people face, but nobody sees.
Okay.
And maybe nobody's really willing to listen. Yeah.
That's a tough one.
Yeah.
Because it speaks to even all of us, including myself as well.
Yeah.
There's a moment just to pause and ponder, that part of humanity, just caring for the other. Life has become so busy that everyone is just so much concerned about their primary family, going to work, ensuring that, they take care of that family. But what about that sister? What about that tete? What about that bamnini that is within the family? Are you checking up on them? Are you being your brother's keeper? Thank you for just giving insight into that. I want to understand at a family level. So you spoke about expectations that come from the society and the stigma that comes from the society. What about your own primary family that you're coming from?
So my own primary family was very supportive.
Okay.
Initially, because I had moved out of a house, out of our family home when I fell pregnant. My father didn't want to see me. That's the traditional way. If you get pregnant, you move out of the house, you go away, you got your baby. But at some point my mother was like, look, if you're not going to be moving in with the man, you might as well come home. So she stood her ground and she forced that I come back home.
I can imagine the amount of pressure that was around it that she had to overcome.
She had to, because everybody thinks that when a girl gets pregnant, her mother knows. her mother is involved. So she had to face that from my father, from his family, that, you know, you knew about this. But she was like, no, I can't leave my daughter out in the wild. So she said, come home, we'll face whatever it is together. That's what she said. So I came back home, but it wasn't really easy to begin with, because the family has been destabilized. They had expectations of me as a daughter, and I've totally messed that up. And that friction between mother and father, knowing that it's you that has caused that friction. But we worked through it, and I can tell you now that my father is the biggest champion of my daughter. Like, they're the best of friends. So with time, the relationships were mended. And possibly the reasons that drove me out in the first place were resolved.
Okay.
We came back, we worked it out. And now I can safely say we are the best of friends.
I'm glad to hear that story. And I think it's also a learning point for viewers, especially within our African community, you know. Yes, the child has done what you were not expecting. You had expectations of your girl child, you know, like any other parent. But at this moment where she's on her knees, where she's bruised, where she's battered, is that the time to chase her away? We want JS to be responsible, but where is she going to? Where is she going to? It's something that we need to reflect, you know. Yes, she's messed up, but what about her life? Where are we sending her off to? Will she even finish her school? What will she become in the future? You know, it's amazing how something as the support of a family can ground someone so much that a situation which was meant to even destroy you and even the whole family, when everyone says, let's work it out together. We don't know how, but let's work it out together. How much impact it can produce in the life of someone.
Yeah, I totally agree, because I believe I would have died. If I had stayed out there, I would have died. I don't think in and of myself I had the strength to sustain myself and my child. And my family just coming alongside and saying, they were so not judgmental. They were so uplifting. If they had not been there, I wouldn't be here.
That's powerful. That's amazing. I want to draw you onto one of the areas or the places that you used to go a lot, which was the church. And one of the statements that you said was, you know, as a single mother, sometimes you're seen as you want to take someone's husband. How was that like for you as you navigated into church?
So my church has been very supportive of I and my daughter, to the extent that even some failed projects, they have not stopped supporting me. So I'll say, okay, I need help with this. And they will come through. But one thing I found is that I had a willingness to learn. I had a willingness to admit. I think I'm very talkative at church. So when there was discipleship, when there was trainings, I was really participatory. I would take part. I would vocalize my own issues and my own experiences. So perhaps the sincerity of my heart reflected that I really want to grow and move past this. So they were then very supportive, in the sense that I've made some friends that I think are lifelong, who've stood by me as well, who've supported me in times when they shouldn't have, when they could have chosen not to. So when I don't have, I go and say, look, guys, it's difficult. There are people that I will approach and say, look, we are in crisis right now. But for some people, that's really hard. In the compassionate ministry, and one of the things is to identify people that need help. People will not come forward, even when they need it. So for me, I think I learned to speak out. That has been a big help. To just be vulnerable and say, this is what's happening with me.
And as I'm listening to you, it also comes from a place of acceptance that this is where I am right now. this is where I am right now. Yes, I have made this situation in my life, but I'm not going to allow it to define me. Thank you so much for your sharing. Viewers, let's take a short break to join me in the next segment. Welcome back, viewers, to our program, Wholeness with Naomi. Before we went on a short break, Miss Jackie was just sharing with us some of the challenges from society, family, church, and different parts of your life that she has encountered as she navigated single motherhood. Now, Miss Jackie, I want you to take us to some of the things that has helped you to overcome these challenges.
Okay. So for me, I think God has been the biggest anchor.
Okay.
And the great commandment, love God, love people. And from that, the first thing was to forgive self, to ground myself, to actually realize that I still have value and worth. So I found ways of growing myself intellectually, emotionally. I took courses to learn. There's no job that I would say no to. There's no job. I figured that, you know what, I don't really know where God is saying go, but I'll walk the steps. Each step at a time. If this is open, then I'll take it. I did what was needed to help my child survive. And then doing it all with integrity, trying to maintain, because I already have stigma on me. I don't want to add more by being a person of loose morals, unethical. So I did what I did with integrity. Then have a support system. Build a community around you of people who uplift you, who push you in the right way, who tell you that, no, you're going astray here. Why don't you try this? Who send opportunities your way. People who just tell you, hey, there's a stock fill. Let's join that.
But you know, Miss Jackie, thank you so much for this sharing. I've spoken to different people. When we spoke about the subject of community, many people, they don't know how to start it. How does one build a community around them where there's an opportunity, there's someone knocking on their door and saying, there's something that you need to go for. There's this program I saw which is good for you. How does one build that community around them?
I think it starts with being vulnerable, like I mentioned. In the spaces we are in, there are people. As you step out, you meet people, whether it's your neighbor. I think it's also from a place of don't look too much inside yourself, but look at how you can also help. So when you are also looking at opportunities to help others, you interact, you meet up with people, you are speaking with your neighbor who has a child that has a problem, or who has an abusive husband, or who is going through what you're going through. You are speaking to their daughter, you're speaking to their, you are going out there, standing at the corner market and making conversation. You are going to church, you are speaking with the ladies in church, just finding out what are you doing. I remember in the early days, I would say, where are you working? What do you do? You know, each time I met someone, because I really wanted to work. So I would find out what people are actually doing, find out a bit more about this and that person, tell them a bit about my story. So as you go out and engage with others, they too will find opportunity to engage with you. As you tell them your story and the opportunities come up, they'll also then come back and say, hey, we heard you're looking for this. Why don't you try this? And that's how it's built. That you have to give something as well. And then it comes back to you, I think.
Thank you so much for that sharing, Ms. Jackie. And also just having us walk by the side and just having a view of how life was like for you. And your story is beautiful. You know, it's one of those amazing stories where you hear about women that are on their journey and that are walking with intention, with challenges that it may pose, but they're saying, you know what, I will not allow this to define me. Curveballs may come, viewers. Curveballs may come in life as you move in it. Even if you're young, you're a teen mom, you are not defined by this situation that you may be in. Look for the things that can help you to overcome. Ms. Jiki spoke about the aspect of relationships. Yes, kumbono gononge warambwa, but there is a tete, there is a sekuro, there is a mbuya in your community. Reach out to those people, but let's keep on moving. Let's keep on encouraging. Let's keep on looking for ways that enable us to pursue that which is also in our heart. Yes, those dreams, yes, they may seem like they've stopped or opposed, but you can attain and you can reach them. Viewers, do join me in the next episode, but in the meantime, let's continue in wholeness. Thank you.